Hey folks, today we're going to be talking about using some different tools from training rather than just your handgun with live ammunition. Now, dry firing is certainly great. I'm a big believer in it. It's very valuable. At the same time, it's also useful to use some other tools, particularly when teaching new shooters. And I have some examples here of different kinds of tools. This is the ASP. They're sometimes referred to as blue gun. This obviously is a reddish orange, but this is the copy of the Glock 17. And what's great about this is you can show shooters both to hold the gun, you can actually get in front of them, you can do things with this tool that you would never want to do with a full-sized regular firearm. In addition, I have here the SIRT pistol, and this is a great training device. It actually has, as you depress the trigger, what actually you get is you get a laser that marks the area that you're hitting. And so if you want to draw from holster, present the weapon, and then as you're pressing through, and I'll show you some of this, you can get that nice laser dot to tell you whether or not you're on point, on target. The other thing that's good to have is a safety training mag. This is for Glock 17, and it's the full weight of what you would have with a loaded magazine. This is really good to practice with if you're dry firing. As you know, if you have a regular magazine and you run the magazine in, it's going to lock open as you rack the slide. Well, if you're doing dry firing and you want to dry fire with a regular weighted, fully weighted pistol, this allows you to do that, and each time you rack the slide, it's not going to get held up there because there's nothing there to engage that slide release. So that's a great tool. This is a CRTC product, and it's great. Then the other thing a lot of people are very familiar with are just dummy rounds. Dummy rounds are great, and we'll show you a drill in a minute where you just have your buddy load up some mags with these and set up malfunctions for you. So what I like to do when I train with people is I have them throw a few of these into magazines, and as you're running the gun, you'll get a type 1 malfunction, the gun will go click, and you've got to do tap, roll, rack just to clear that round out and keep fighting. What's good about having someone else do it is then you don't know when to expect. The drill I'm going to show you here next, obviously I've loaded them so I have some idea where they're going to be in the sequence, but I also load enough ammunition and get poor quality control that I get plenty of practice with that drill anyway. So let's talk about some of the ways that you can use these from a training standpoint to better develop your skills. Okay, so what I'm going to show you right now is just the use of one of these, or actually I have a few in a magazine. I'm just going to do some presentation drills, shoot the gun, and every once in a while I've loaded a few of these into the magazine, and you'll see how these can be useful in terms of helping you stay focused, do the drill you're supposed to do in terms of tap, roll, rack, and then assess with the dummy rounds. So I've got some dummy rounds in the gun, right? We've got our gun charged up. And we'll just see what this looks like so you can get some sense of how to use these. Here we go. So what you see there is you see me having to do some stuff, basically the tap, roll, rack drill, which is I'm tapping the bottom of the magazine to make sure the magazine is seating. I'm racking the slide, and I'm getting that mag or that round that's faulty or defective or whatever out of there. And that's a good drill to practice. A lot of people don't practice it, and the fact is any tool will malfunction every once in a while. And you know, you'd hate for that to happen when you're in the middle of a gunfight and you need to keep the gun running. So dummy rounds like that are a great way to practice and develop those skills. Let's take a look at some of the other ways that you can use training aids to improve your skills. Okay, let's say that you've got a new shooter and you're working with them on how to get the gun out of the holster, and you want to go real slow at first, and maybe you don't even want them to use a dry gun. Maybe you just want them to get a feel of what it feels like and how to actually do the steps. So, you know, my left hand comes here, right hand firing grip on the gun, I come out, drop my elbow, press out. Now with a training gun like this, I obviously can do things like if I wanted to demonstrate what it would look like in a press out, I can be straight at someone and they can get that stuff, because we know this is a non-lethal piece of plastic. The other thing is these guns are good if you want to practice strikes, right? Gun strikes to the sternum. Or if you want to practice close retention drills, someone comes up and they try to take the gun from you, what you can do to do that. And you know, again, just simple things that you can do to better develop your skills without using a live gun. I like to use the blue guns, especially for teaching new shooters. What I really like to do with this is just, I want to see them present the weapon and get a firing grip with their finger straight and off the trigger, right? So that trigger, you know, as I'm working with them on the press out, I don't want to see that trigger finger come inside the trigger guard until they actually have their sights aligned. So that's a great way to teach people, is by using the blue gun. Now let's look at the SRT pistol. So we've got our SIRT pistol, and boy, this is a great tool for teaching people. First of all, this one is set up, it's like a Glock 17. This is the lower end version. The upper end version has two lasers on it, a green and a red, and the green laser is for when you get your finger from a reset standpoint to ride the trigger. This one is only from the standpoint of when you're actually pressing that trigger all the way back. So as you come on to point and then you're pressing that trigger, that's when you're going to get that. So that's a really good tool to practice on, especially for teaching people. The other nice thing is that it has a magazine, so you can teach people how to, you know, really load and unload the gun. And as a trainer, you can make sure, you can really watch people and say, okay, I want you to do presentations, and find out when that laser's going on. And what's nice is then you know whether or not they're creeping in before they should, and they're getting this kind of you know, thing that some people will do. At the range, I will see people frequently doing this. Okay, so they have their finger inside the trigger guard and they're not at point. And usually I leave the range at that point. I might say something to them, and if they don't change, I just leave, because it's an accident waiting to happen. Very important, and that's what these SIRT pistols are great for, because they allow you to train with a gun that cannot do any damage. So you can do all the manipulations with the exception of racking the slide, but all your presentations come out, you see your target, you press. I'm on point, I press. My sights are aligned, I press. So that's the SIRT. These are very inexpensive, I don't know, 150 bucks or something. The higher end ones are about 350 with the two lasers. These are great. If you do any training, both for yourself or teaching other people, the SIRT pistols are a great way to go. I also like the feature with the magazine that the magazine comes out, because then you can work with people on bringing that magazine out of your mag pouch, bring it up, in, rack your slide, come out. So that's a really good thing to practice, and with this gun you can do it dry. You can also practice, you know, just ejecting the mag, right? So those are all things that are very helpful with training tools that I believe are very valuable. And I would strongly recommend that you invest a couple $100 in some tools like this, so that you can practice really anywhere. You can also take this with you, you know, when you travel, and practice dry firing in your hotel room, presentations. Boy, that's a great way to go, and certainly a great way to maintain your skills if you are traveling a lot. So hopefully that helps, and I want to thank everyone for watching and supporting the channel. It's growing like crazy. We're having tons of great feedback from people, and I appreciate all of that and everything you do. So, as always, stay safe.